Upbeat, curious music starts and then fades into the background. You hear it all the time, right? The news comes on and they say, the economy is growing. And that's meant to be fantastic news. But have you ever stopped and thought, well, that's great, but my life doesn't actually feel any better? It's a really common feeling, and it gets to the heart of a huge question. How do we actually measure success?
For the better part of a century, there's been one number to rule them all: gross domestic product, or GDP. It's become the main report card for how a country is doing. If GDP is going up, we're told that's an A+. If it's going down, that's a fail. Simple, right? Well, maybe too simple. What if that single number is telling a dangerously incomplete story?
So let's actually take a closer look at this measuring stick we've been using for so long. Because when you really dig into it, you start to see that GDP is a very, very flawed ruler for measuring what actually makes for a good life.
Okay, so what is GDP actually counting? Well, think of it like a giant cash register for an entire country. It just adds up every single penny, pound, or dollar spent on goods and services. It's a measure of economic activity, or churn. The crucial thing to understand is that GDP doesn't care why money is being spent, only that it's being spent. And this is where the logic gets really bizarre. Under the rules of GDP, a lot of bad things actually look good. A devastating hurricane? Well, all the money spent on rebuilding makes GDP go up. More people getting sick from air pollution? That means more hospital bills, which also makes GDP go up. But what about all the good stuff that doesn't have a price tag? The unpaid work of caring for a child or an elderly parent, that's worth exactly 0 to GDP. A stable climate, a strong community, these things are literally worthless in its calculation. There's a quote that just hits the nail on the head here. When we focus only on growing GDP, we don't necessarily build a better society. We just build a busier one. We get really good at spending money, often to clean up the very messes that our economic activity created in the first place. We're optimizing for sheer churn, not for human flourishing. To really see the problem with our obsession with growth, we need to zoom out. We have to remember a fundamental truth about where the economy actually fits into the world.
So first we have the economy. It's a human invention, right? It's the system we've created to manage how we produce, buy, and sell things.
And then you have the biosphere. Now, this is not a human invention. This is the real world. It's the thin layer of life on our planet, the air, the water, the soil, that contains everything, absolutely everything.
And this is the crucial picture. The economy doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists inside the biosphere. It's a wholly owned subsidiary of planet Earth. It pulls in every single resource from the natural world, and it pumps every single bit of waste right back into it. It is completely and utterly dependent on it.
So, if you accept that the economy is a subsystem of the planet, and you accept that the planet is finite, it's only so big, then you have to accept this. Infinite physical growth is impossible. It's just a law of physics. You cannot have something getting bigger and bigger, forever, inside a box that stays the same size. The pursuit of endless GDP growth is, quite literally, the pursuit of the impossible.
Okay, so if chasing endless growth on a finite planet is a dead end, what's the alternative? It's not about stopping progress. It's about being smarter. It's about reordering our priorities to match reality.
Here's a much more logical way to think about it. You start with scale. That's the first question. How big can our economy get before it overwhelms the planet? We have to stay within those limits. Then, once we figure that out, we look at distribution. Within those safe limits, how do we share resources fairly so everyone has enough? And only then, thirdly, do we talk about allocation. How do we use markets to efficiently distribute goods and services to improve people's lives?
Now, this is really important. This is not an anti-market idea. Markets are brilliant tools for certain things. They give us variety, choice, and they are incredibly efficient. But markets are the wrong tool for solving big collective problems. A market can't decide what a safe limit for carbon emissions is, or what a fair wage should be. For those big questions of scale and distribution, we need to make collective decisions. It's all about using the right tool for the job.
And all of this brings us right back to where we began, to that powerful, simple idea that what we choose to measure is what we end up aiming for.
So, what could a better measurement look like? Well, instead of just a gross number, imagine a national balance sheet that measures net benefit. In the plus column, you'd add the value of things GDP misses, like unpaid care work or people's leisure time. And, crucially, in the minus column, you'd subtract the costs of pollution, crime, and long commutes. You'd get a far more honest picture of whether we're actually making progress.
Because in the end, it really is this simple. What you measure is what you build.
If we keep using GDP as our main goal, we'll keep building a society that's good at creating economic churn, but not necessarily human flourishing. The metric we choose literally shapes the world we live in.
So that leaves us with a final thought to take away. If you could press the reset button and design a new scoreboard for our society, what would you choose to count? What are the things that really matter for a good life on a healthy planet? Answering that question, well, that could change everything.